Hello and welcome back to the Jules with Jim podcast. I am your host GiGi and I hope you're well. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for the support, your interest, your questions. It all goes such a long way, and whilst you're at it, please don't forget to hit that sub button to be notified when I do post new videos. The Breaking Down the Science Energy series has come to an end, sadly. But I still have to say a disclaimer though, that the information I am sharing with you is just to explain the energies and that not everything is set in stone. I think of astrology as my cosmic parent, or rather my cosmic guidance, and that you are able to work with the energies within your chart in order to achieve your current soul mission so that you can evolve into the next phase of life. And as I always say, the only constant is a change. I cannot stress the importance of knowing your birth chart, as it acts as guidance for your soul's evolution, at least in my humble opinion and experience. Without any further ado, let's get down to it, shall we? I will start off by taking a look at well-known South African Sagittarius, and they are Casper Nyovest, Sjava, Dineo Ranaka, Euphonic, Gabelo Mabelane, Oscar Pistorius, and last but not least, King Munada. The mutable sign Sagittarius, born between November 22nd and December 21st. Whew, Sagittarius, geez, where do I start? First, I just want to say, awesome, amazing, and curious souls, first of all. I also just want to say, or add rather, that Sagittarius is the last fire sign, so how fitting is it to end off the series with a bang? But no, truly, where do I start? For me, Sagittarians are the philosophers, the teachers, the healers, the travelers, the lawmakers, the ones who are fair and just, the ones who truly just have a zest for life. The ones who are able to give you a completely different perspective on life in general. The opposite sign, Gemini, where they collect data and kind of just send it out to the world, because Gemini, is the messenger. Gemini is the messenger. They just collect the message and then they spread the message forth into the masses by means of different, broadcasting channels, TV, media, newspaper, etc. And you have Sagittarius, which is like on the opposite spectrum, and they are just like, okay, we have all of this information. Gemini has sent it out into the world, and that's great. We applaud them, but we need to see which of this information is actually valuable and which is not. So they're really able to draw the soul out of information. These are the people that have, a natural bird's eye view of the bigger picture. It's kind of, we transition from, the dark underworld and the depths of Scorpio, and we move into the light. It's like going through the tunnel and then seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Sagittarius is literally the light at the end of the tunnel, because of the fact that Scorpio is such a, I don't want to say dark energy, but it's very intense, and the emotions that are there, you never really know what you're going to get with Scorpio. So out of that, we come into the light, and we now understand ourselves better, and we now can reach new frontiers. We now have a better perspective on life, and now we have a newfound zest for life, and now we're positive, and now we all these great things. So Sagittarius, man, I could go on and on and on, but we come out of the depths of Scorpio and we step into the light and have a view of the horizon. And I mean, if you've engaged with a Sagittarius in any capacity, then you may have realized how they have an almost completely different perspective on life in general. It's like, you'd even wonder, am I speaking to an alien? Because it's like, wow, they have so much wisdom. It's literally pouring out of their ears, pouring out of their mouth, it's pouring out of their eyes, the wisdom that they have is just like, you literally want to sit there and just record all of the times that you would speak to them, because it's almost like speaking to God in a way. But yeah, as much as they do have that wisdom, they also can be unmoved and quite unchanging when it comes to their own views. But I think I appreciate the energy because they're so open and will gladly express how they feel about certain things within society, as they're very opinionated, and they have an interest in everything controversial. I mean, the more controversial, the absolute better. They have an amazing way of just being and can be extremely positive. They are ruled by the planet of luck and fortune and just everything great, really. They are always realistic and honest about how they feel. And if you thought that these people are a joke, because I've read a lot of people's experiences, and they've always said that Sagittarians are childish, they need to grow up, they're so selfish, and just being negative and throwing poor Sagittarians under the bus. But if you think they're a joke, just engage in a conversation that is of intellectual intent. It'll almost be like you've just been smacked by 10,000 philosophers at once. But before we go too deep, some basic facts about Sagittarius. Their polarity is positive, their quality is mutable, the element is fire, the symbol being the archer. Their planetary ruler is Jupiter, the opposite sign being Gemini, and parts of the body ruled by Sagittarius would be the thighs, the hips, and the liver. So I read somewhere that Aries is the first spark of the fire, and then Leo is like the blazing fire, like when it's lit. And then Sagittarius is, the last part of the fire, like the slow burn. And when I say slow burn, I almost imagine like coals being that amber, fiery, reddish. That's kind of like how I perceive a slow burn in my head. And, I think it makes sense why almost everyone goes to them with their problems, because it's like, whoever goes to them for advice or for some sort of problem solving and knows that they will get their problem solved no matter what, because Sagittarius have enough energy and enough emotional capacity. Actually, you can't even cap their emotional capacity, to be quite honest, because it's like they can handle almost everyone's problems. This is why they can also be perceived as naive, because they're always so positive and, they always want to see the best in people. And, they kind of give people the benefit of the doubt majority of the time. So Jupiter is definitely to be blamed for this. Wherever Jupiter is in your natal chart, that's kind of like where you will experience these feelings in general. So it's all about growth, it's all about expansion, it's all about higher consciousness, it's about, the Lord, travel, good fortune, and, traits of being a healer. So these are the people that will really understand your situation. And if they have the means to solve your situation, they definitely will try and help you. If you come to them saying, I'm going through a financial issue, and, they are endowed financially, if you tell them that you just need, you need to take care of a debt, and let's say that debt is about, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a random amount, like 1,000 Rand, and you ask them for 500 Rand, they'll probably give you 1,500, just because, they want you to have that extra 500 maybe to, patch here and there where you might not have mentioned that you may be lacking, because they actually understand the bigger picture. Maybe you need, extra money to actually travel to where you need to go and deposit this money. So it's like they think about everything, and they're so well-rounded and they're so good at it that it's just like, you might have just given them the tip of the iceberg of the problem, and they would have been able to see exactly what's going on. And, they won't be judgmental about it. They won't even mention it to you. They'll probably just, perceive it in their mind and be like, oh, okay, what this person is actually trying to say is 1, 2, 3. And they would have debunked it like so accurately. But I think that's why they tend to be perceived as naive for this reason. But also because of the fact that, Jupiter is also a co-ruler of Pisces. So I think that's where that whole naivety, rose-colored glasses aspect might come from. But of course, aspects do play a role in how the energy of Jupiter will manifest in your life, in your chart specifically. But the more pleasant the aspects are, the easier the energy will be expressed. So, if you have more of the harsher aspects, then, it will still be benevolent. It will still be, a benefic planet. It's just that, you will have to work that much harder through the energy. That's all. So Jupiter is the largest planet within our solar system. So naturally, they're able to accommodate everyone. They have this larger than life personality. Sometimes they even have larger than life lives. Like when you think about them, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's just fun times. It's like travel, let's unwind. Let's just, talk about life and, talk about philosophers, or talk about poetry and talk about, politics. Let's talk and actually make it sound so poetic in the process. These are things that they definitely enjoy. They just enjoy people, but only to a certain extent. And I'll definitely explain that part in a bit. But as I was saying, it definitely does get to a point where they can be so social and be there for almost everyone that it drains them physically, emotionally, and any other way possible, really. They also fall sometimes to prey to individuals who are a little bit greedy, that are complacent and just, maybe considered spoiled, or just not appreciative of the energy or the deeds that Sagittarius, is willing to do or go to. They might even attract people that are, who are not as balanced spiritually, I think. They might attract these people, and these people might even sort of like derail them from their faith, derail them from their beliefs, but not for a long time. I think I think the people around them will take advantage of them to a certain extent, but they do get to a point where, they engage in conversation with them and their God, and their God is like, we then told you better stop this nonsense, and then they can actually find a way to, walk away from that situation. But they don't look at anything really as a bad thing or as a negative experience. I think for them it's more a lesson through an experience. And I think that is so powerful, because a lot of the times, as people, we look at challenges and we look at obstacles like, can I just get to the point? Why is this happening to me? Why did I have to go through this? We tend to be very negative about our experiences, especially the ones that are challenging. But for them, it's like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? And then they just kind of keep it moving. Of course, like I said, it depends on the aspect. It depends on how evolved the Sagittarian is in this case. The symbol for Sagittarius is the archer, and when I think of an archer, I just imagine, especially the symbol for Sagittarius specifically, I always see the archer just kind of, pointing their arrow towards the sky, towards the horizon, and just always, aiming high. And also I feel like trying to align themselves with the set targets that they probably may have set for themselves. I also think of how Sagittarians are always trying to reach new frontiers, whether that be, intellectually, physically, trying to maybe morph their bodies into something else. Sometimes it could even be through travel, because these are the things that expand your horizon. And, by horizon, I just simply mean your brain capacity, your mental capacity, your consciousness. They always want to be engaging in activities that will help them to become more mentally agile, more mentally quick, more mentally, what's that nice word that I'm looking for? But yes, more mentally, the ability to help them fight better, if I can put it that way, mentally, that is. But yes, anything that is mentally stimulating, anything that is mentally stimulating for them is definitely going to keep them on their toes and definitely coming back for more. Sagittarius is, they are extremely aware and of their surroundings, of people in their lives, and conscious of, life's realities. And I think it's because of this that they draw a lot of their wisdom from just observing their surroundings. And it's almost as if they get whispers from, above, and everyone would just be in awe of the way that they perceive life, the way they perceive challenges, the way they speak about money, the way they speak about war, art, poetry, music. Everything is just so, for them, they realize how everything is just interconnected. And I believe that they're also very, very, very intuitive, because they, at the end of the day, they're able to see, or rather perceive, all of the possibilities that, that are possible, really. And I mean, to Sagittarius, like, the sky is not even a limit, to be quite honest. So, a lot of the times you'll find them being philosophical. You'll find them just explaining things in a way that makes life seem so simple, or that makes art seem so simple, or that makes music seem so simple. And, even the way they express themselves, they are just filled with so much wisdom. It's literally, like I mentioned earlier, it's like, sometimes I feel like if you just squeeze a Sagittarius, like, literally all of the wisdom would just come spilling out. Of course, this is not really gonna happen, in the literal sense, but I think all it takes really to get that out of them is just a conversation, and you will be blown away by their perspective. And it's almost like they provide you with solutions or perspectives that you may not even thought of, that really hadn't crossed your horizon until you had an in-depth conversation with them, and you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? And for them, expanding their horizon could be done, via reading a book, watching a movie, traveling, listening to music, even spending time with family and friends. Some of the time they do like to engage in conversations with people that are a lot older than them, because, they learn much more from people that are older than them. A lot of the time you'll find that even relationships with their parents are really valued, because they learn a lot from their parents. They look up to their parents. Sagittarians really have been blessed with parents that, most of the time, they are blessed with parents that, just give them a better perspective on life in general. Give them options, if I can put it that way. Give them options on how to deal with things, as a youngster, as an adult, and eventually, eventually till you get to maturity. So, sometimes they could even expand their horizons by meditating, even through prayer. After, praying, they soon realize what it is that they need to do about a situation that they may have been faced with that was particularly challenging for them. So it's like, the arrow in itself as well that the archer is pointing can also be symbolic of the communication that, takes place between humanity and, the heavens, essentially, because it's like they aim towards the sky, the heavens, and then it's that arrow that then, gives them the ability to be able to see, oh, okay, this would actually be the solution. And then they come back down to the rest of humanity and give them that solution. Because, some of us only have the perception of what we see around us, but they have really a bird's eye view, 360 degree of, life's challenges and actually how we could tackle them. So the arrow essentially is what helps them align with their greater purpose, and I think it's also for this reason that Sagittarius is like the ultimate truth seeker, the ultimate truth teller. I'd even say more than Aquarius. Sagittarians can also be considered, a healer, because of the fact that they're so curious, and it's their learned intelligence and wisdom, which kind of closes the gap between heaven and earth. So you can give them any concept, and it may be perceived as difficult to other people, but the Sagittarius it's easy for them to comprehend really what anything is about. They are able to get to the point, or they are able to give their own perspective on said project, on said concept, on said speech, on said poem, on said song, so very versatile, very adaptable, because they're mutual, so naturally very versatile. They're able to kind of mix in any environment, to be quite honest. Like, you can put a Sagittarius anywhere and they will just fit right in. And that's definitely a gift, because as people, it's sometimes it's very difficult to relate to some people, and others find it more difficult than others, but we have to give credit where it's due. Growth is definitely big, excuse the pun, for Sagittarius, because as we know, as I've mentioned it before, Jupiter rules expansion. So, sometimes they do tend to bite off more than they can chew, but they're just so optimistic that it's like every setback is an opportunity for change. It's like, sometimes change can be hard for them, especially when it comes to things like, their faith or their beliefs, things that, are embedded deep within their consciousness, things that they may have, that may have been nurtured and harnessed and kind of drilled into their subconscious, from childhood. So those are definitely things that they do have a hard time changing. But other than that, change for them is awesome, and it can be hard also depending where they are in life. Sometimes the younger we are, we don't really understand, the bigger picture, but as we grow older, we start to become more lenient towards, the experiences that we've had, and we start to connect the dots and so forth. The saying, I'm actually thinking of the saying, what isn't growing is dead. I think that's the quote. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me. Don't at me. It's definitely applicable to Sagittarius, because for them, if it's not growing, then what's the point? If a relationship is not growing, what's the point? If what we're talking about is not allowing us to grow, what's the point? If what I'm reading is not helping me grow, what is the point? If, even when you think about it, just in general, relationships that don't help you grow, what is the point? It means that they're stagnant, that they're not really going anywhere. So what is the point of even investing any more of your time, your energy, your money, your resources into that particular thing? Sagittarius also rules the thighs, the legs, so movement and exercise is definitely crucial here. I know a couple of Sagittarians in my life, and most of them are like gym junkies. But when they're not really in the gym, they are more susceptible to like low energies, such as depression or not thinking that they're good enough. Basically, if they don't engage in physical activity and they don't engage in activities that are mentally stimulating, that is like Sagittarian slow death. And of course, they are extremely generous. They're the type that just believe that they can help everyone, or or at least that they, can be available for everyone. And even they know that this is unrealistic, of course, but, I think it's healthy for them to actually listen to themselves a little bit more, to listen to their intuition when, they start to get too tired or too involved in things or people's lives and trying to solve people's problems. And, eventually things do get messy, and, they do have to take a step back and realize that everyone has their own journey to walk, and essentially they have to walk that journey themselves. It's about knowing when to let go and move on, which can be the biggest challenge for Sagittarians. And I also feel as though they tend to have this belief that, you know, they have this belief because they want people to do better. They want people to realize their potential. They want people to do better, to be better, you know, to be their best selves. So to almost be godlike. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that, because they know what is right and wrong. They know that as adults we all know what is wrong and what is right. So and I also think because, you know, it's really part and parcel of their religion and also whatever it is that they believe in when it comes to spirituality as well. Because, you know, a lot of us depend on our religion to help guide the decisions that we make. A lot of us depend on our spirituality to help guide the decisions that we make. So therefore, this aspect or this part of our lives is definitely important to us. It's even more so important for, you know, a Sagittarius, because literally that is what they base most of their moves on, especially if they are evolved, especially if they're actually walking in their power. If they realize their gifts to the world and to people around them, then you'll definitely see a lot of this happening, where they do want to live a life that is very godlike, or at least in alignment with being morally, or living your life in a way that, you know, is in line with your moral compass or your values, or, you know, your principles at least. So like I said, they're extremely generous with their money, their time, their resources, whatever it is that they are able to share with others, they'll definitely share. And I think the motivation behind that really is just that they actually just want to have a great life. Like, but from Bumnandi. Well, not Bumnandi as in, like, you know, they want to party all the time. No, it's just that they just want everybody to realize their true potential. They themselves want to realize their true potential. They want to get to a point where, you know, they pat themselves on the back and they're like, geez, you've come such a long way. They want to look back at their lives and be like, actually, I've grown so much. I've done this, I've done that. And it has nothing to do with the accolades. It has nothing to do with the awards. It has nothing to do with, you know, the congratulations that they may have gotten from people. It has everything to do with them and what they have achieved for their life, and what they can look back and say, yo, I've actually done this, I've done that, I've done this and I've done that, because that to them means more than anything that is outside of themselves, like awards and things of that nature. So they just want everybody around them to be happy and be living their best lives. And if they do have problems, they want good, solvable problems, not problems that persist and irritate them and agitate them, you know. They want a great partner, you know, who believes in growth as much as they do. They want, you know, in a perfect world, they want well-disciplined children, you know, should they even have any children. They want ample freedom to still roam around and be their own person, even when their life has changed. And by changed, I just mean, you know, if they are in a long-term relationship, if they are married, if they do have kids, they still want to be able to maintain their individuality. They still want to be able to maintain their space. They still want to be able to maintain, you know, their creativity, or even time to engage in, you know, creative pursuits. So, you know, they may be social, but alone time is definitely treasured here. It is not to be played with. And, you know, and alone time, whether that be time to scroll on their phone, time to go hang out with the boys or the girls, you know, whether they want to go out and enjoy a drink, or to not even deal with, you know, the harsh realities of life for hours at a time. Speaking of freedom, actually, you know, even in their personal relationships, they tend to demand a lot of space, because for them, this is like non-negotiable, you know, and an understanding partner is the only person who will be able to comprehend this. And I also feel like most of their personal relationships are only personal because of the fact that they base, like the foundation, the basis of the relationship that they have with a particular person, one person, well, depending on, what you're interested in. But, the foundation usually of any relationship that they may have with anyone is based on friendship, because they want to be your best friend. They want to share everything with you. They want to have a space where they can basically just express themselves genuinely and not have to worry about how they're going to be perceived or how they may be judged. And, honestly, for them, that's the true treasure. So some facts and myths about Sagittarius. Number 1, they are holier than thou. This is definitely a myth. I think they just tend to know a lot more. So, if you're asking for advice, best believe they will give you advice that actually works, practically speaking. Most of the time, the advice that they're going to give you is going to be very practical. It's going to be very hands-on. It's going to be very get your hands dirty and actually do the work. And they will hold you accountable. That is for sure. Number 2, they are natural travelers. This is definitely facts. And, I'm aware of the fact that not all Sagittarians, will travel in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we are in the middle of a pandemic, in South Africa, and unfortunately lockdown regulations and such. But, some of them might not even travel in the physical sense. Sometimes they travel, in the mind. Sometimes they expand their consciousness, and, that could also be considered as, traveling. It's like expanding one's intellectual abilities. Number 3, they are of faith. This is definitely facts. For me, there's no Sagittarius in the world that does not have faith. Okay, I may be exaggerating, but seriously, they have the ability to move mountains. What is the association with mustard seeds again? It's running away from my mind. But yeah, that. Trust me. Number 4, they don't take relationships seriously. This is definitely a myth. I think Sagittarius they'll always be honest and true to their needs, regardless of how you, your mother, your auntie, and everybody around them may feel. It just is what it is. Number 5, they take risks. This is big facts. They are the biggest risk takers. I mean, their ruling planet is Jupiter, so they can afford to take risks, but only up until a certain point. But usually, they do tend to overdo it. Number 6, they are susceptible to addictions. This is definitely facts, because we need to remember that Jupiter is, co-ruler of Pisces. And if you know anything about Pisces energy, you'll know that Pisces has no boundaries, or it may even seem that way, but they have no boundaries between, what's real and what's not. They have access to, the underworld and the real world, and, Sagittarians as well. I mean, a lot of people could be like, they have their head in the clouds, but really they have their head in the heavens, kind of energy. So anything goes, Lana, and they kind of go with the flow and flow like water, and they may Jupiter expands anything and everything, so they'll definitely, there's a high key possibility that they may be addicted to things that give them pleasure, because for example, they tend to pick up weight a lot faster and easier than most people if their addiction is fast food, for example. So this is definitely something that they need to watch out for, because they tend to overdo it. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, so literally everything will be blown out of proportion. If they like food, they will love food to the maximum. They will enjoy food. They will enjoy the feeling that is associated with food. They will enjoy all of the, the tastes, the textures, the everything when it comes to enjoying a meal. So it is that deep. Number 7, They are unfaithful. I think this is a myth. Anybody can be unfaithful, really. I just think that, nothing will come in between their need for freedom, and that's a fact. Number 8, they are unconventional. This is definitely fact. They don't like conforming, to society's standards, because they know how flawed and how fickle society has proven to be. As mentioned prior, a disclaimer though, that not every single Sagittarius will have these characteristics, so please be open-minded. And as I always say, aspects do play a huge role. Aspects actually play a huge role in how these energies will play out, so definitely do keep that in mind. I just want to end off by saying, fire signs, we appreciate your tenacity, your passion and dedication to every single thing you do or get involved in. Your ability to be the life of the party is always appreciated. I hope I was able to break Sagittarian energy all the way down for you. Next video, I'll be talking about the planets, because we have 10 planets in 12 houses. So it's very essential that we go through the planets from the sun all the way through to Pluto and talk about them individually, so that we all understand the energies, the history, and everything to do with the planets. And we can have an opportunity to talk in depth about that before we move on to the houses, and then we can move on to the aspects, which is definitely going to be exciting. I cannot wait to do that. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments down below where Sagittarian energy shows up for you and what I may have left out, and your thoughts about Sagittarian energy. Show me some love and subscribe to my channel. Again, your time is much appreciated. Till next time, you know what you do. So keep doing what you do. Peace, love, and most of all, light. I'm out.